Coming up today on Worldwide Impact, we're going to do an Airline Employees for Health Freedom update. I'm joined in studio today, live and in person. Captain Laura Cox is here with us. We're really glad that you're here with us today.
Good morning.
We're going to have a few updates about what's happening in the Northern District of Fort Worth and what's come out of the Fifth Circuit. And we're going to just give you all the information that we have to help you know what's going on today. If you are part of our group or not, we want you to stick with us and share this broadcast. I'm David Hogan. I'm here with Captain Laura Cox. You're watching Worldwide Impact. Listen, I was sharing the broadcast like I was supposed to, but I forgot to turn my volume down.
That's okay.
We're glad all of you guys are here with us today, and we're always happy to see one of our favorite pilots in the whole land, Captain Laura Cox. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing great.
It's been a minute since we've got to see you.
Yeah.
But it's always a pleasure to have you here in studio with us, and I know everybody out there in cyber land that's part of Airline Employees for Health Freedom. It's always a good time to be able to get an update to see what's going on.
Yes, and I think it's great that you're able to provide your studio to us and that we can get the message out. It's so hard to see everyone in person, but this way we can actually interact a little bit and get the word out. So today I just kind of wanted to update on everyone on where we are in the court case. As everyone knows, on August 18th, the Fifth Circuit, the Appellate Court in New Orleans, upheld the irreparable harm ruling. They did not vacate it. They denied United's request to vacate that ruling. And they also denied United's request for en banc and have sent everything back to Judge Pittman in the Northern District of Texas in Fort Worth. So we've had some filings. The court asked us and United to make a joint update as to where we stand right now. So that was the filing that was done on September 7th. For those of you on CIBI, you can find it there. It is public knowledge. Basically, it's talking about the preliminary injunction and the path forward. So for Airline Employees for Health Freedom, for the plaintiffs, we are asking the court to set aside the preliminary injunction at this time, and there is a lot of reasons why. It's called abeyance. It basically will just set the preliminary injunction that we requested over here, which was all about unpaid leave as a result of United's handling of the reasonable accommodation. And since we are back at work and not on unpaid leave anymore, the majority of us, the preliminary injunction at this point in time really is not appropriate, okay? And it only applies from this date forward if it were to be granted. United's position is that there's no need for a preliminary injunction, obviously, but they are willing to have the judge dismiss it without prejudice. And the without prejudice is the key part there, because it's almost exactly the same as abeyance. And it will just be sitting over here. It's been dismissed, but without prejudice. And both of those situations, abeyance or without prejudice, means that we can just make a motion should United put us on unpaid leave again. They claim they don't intend to, but if they should change their mind and put us on unpaid leave again, then we just have to file a motion before the court. And most of the previous hearings that we've already had and filings will apply.
One of the things that I noticed in reading that the latest joint briefing, I guess, is United said they don't intend to put us or anybody on indefinite unpaid leave, but they fall short of saying we're not going to do this again.
Correct.
Which is why we would want to make sure that the TROP.
It's just sitting right here. Yeah, it's just sitting off to the side.
Okay.
And the lawyers have assured us that it's perfect legal strategy and it will save us all a lot of money and time. And it's much better than having the judge dismiss the preliminary injunction outright.
Has the judge ruled on which one of those options he would
No,
entertain?
that will, there's a hearing. It'll be a lawyers only hearing on the 15th this week. And I assume we'll know something about that afterward. I don't know the exact timeline on that.
So he could accept either option or do his own thing.
Correct.
He can do what he wants. He's the judge.
He's the judge. Kind of like being the captain. You can, within limits, you can do what you want.
Do what you want. All right. So where does that leave us going forward in relation to the main case? Because everything that we've been doing so far has really largely been about the temporary restraining order. Correct,
and the preliminary injunction that we were hoping to get back in October so that we could have all kept working.
Right.
So the next step then in the lawsuit is going to be class certification. And if you read the briefing, there's, United thinks that they need discovery now. We don't think that they do. They need discovery that's pertinent to class certification.
Yeah, let's talk about, for the people that don't have any idea what like the legal language looks like. Can we talk about what class certification is for a class action lawsuit?
Okay, and then, as long as you keep in mind that I'm not a lawyer.
Right. We're going to give like a kindergarten explanation.
I'm going to give my layman's right explanation. Class certification. You've heard of a class action lawsuit. Okay, that's what this would be. And our goal is to get everyone certified in the class across the country that has been materially affected by United's reasonable accommodation process. What we have to do now, and this was our recent drive to get our CIBI profiles updated, because the lawyers are going to ask us for demographics so that they can categorize everyone and we can figure out how everybody fits in that umbrella of being harmed in the reasonable accommodation process.
Right. So if Captain Sherry Walker was here right here, I will speak on her behalf. She would look into the camera and tell you to make sure that you are on CIBI and that you have gone to your profile and filled out every single field in your profile.
The only two fields that we are not concerned about at this point in time is the one that says location or your birthday. The birthday one will not stay populated. You can put it in there all day long, and the next time you go check, it won't be there. The location one, it's part of the format that just came with the forum that we use, and we've never really used it. We have other questions down below that tell us what state you're in and what zip code, which are more beneficial to us at this point. But if you feel that you have something special you want us to know about your reasonable accommodation, you retired under duress, you took the shot at you had a wrap and you took the shot at the last minute. If there's just something that the questions don't seem to put you in the right category, please, that's a good spot there that you can put a note. Please make it just short and sweet, to the point. We don't need a book, but that'll at least clue us in that we might need to contact you for some more details.
Okay. And then also, to be part of the class, make sure that you're following through with the EEOC.
Yeah, so the EEOC, I know many of you have questions. They have, some of the EEOC interviewers have been telling you that you're going to get a right to sue letter. It's inappropriate, really, to get a right to sue letter before you've even filed your charge letter. So we're not 100% sure why they're doing this, but just so far, no one has gotten the right to sue letter, which triggers a 90-day clock to file a lawsuit. We have discussed it at length with the attorneys. They have a plan to deal with it should you get a right to sue letter, but we need you to contact us immediately to let us know so the attorneys can take action. The second thing is that some of you have not been able to have your interviews with the EEOC. David, we were just talking about you, and the EEOC closed your cases. You need to reach out to the EEOC and say, look, I've been waiting for my interview. I can't schedule it. I tried all hours of the day and night to get an interview scheduled. Please schedule me for an interview, whether it be email questions. Some people get email questions. Some of us actually have a phone call interview. The other thing was we were initially telling people to avoid the 312 area code if they were calling for you from the EEOC. But you need to follow up with the questions. You need to go ahead and answer them and talk to them. If they start talking about we're going to issue a right to sue letter, just say, okay. And if one comes in the mail, again, notify AE4HF, Sherry or I. You can email me at info@ae4hf.com.
I think we've got that. Can we put that on the screen?
Yeah.
We'll put that on the screen so
Yeah,
everybody can
so
see
you can
it.
email me at ae4hf.com, and I check those emails every day, usually 2 or 3 times a day, and we will contact you right away and get some action going with the attorneys. But that's kind of where we stand with the EEOC right now.
Okay, so that's important for the class certification, and then going forward, there was another legal term that we used. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. Going forward.
Well, we've got the charge letter and the right to sue were kind of the big issues right now, and the people's accounts being closed. As far as class certification goes, the process for that is there's going to be filings, and then you have to wait for the judge to rule on them and direct them. It's kind of spelled out in the document on SIBI, the last statement. It's called the Joint Status Report. And I went through it the other day. It's going to be December or January before we have completed class certification. It just takes that long in the court system. So we will keep you updated as to the process. There are going to be times that we ask you to get back into your SIBI account and update something where we may be adding new questions, but we need to be able to reach you either by email or by phone, and we need to be able to know what your job title is, where you live, where you're based, what kind of a wrap you have, whether it be a medical or religious. All these questions are going to be pertinent as we go forward.
Yeah. Max Q asked the question, what is the path forward to recoup the millions in lost wages and damages? And that, Max, that's one of the things that we're talking about here is what's the next
well,
step
that's all
forward.
part of the next step is class certification.
Right, and then discovery. That was the one that
And then there'll be likely prior to a trial, there'll be a period of time for discovery.
Let's talk about generally what that looks like. In discovery, both sides get to ask the other side
for records.
To provide all types of information.
Emails, phone texts, records.
Possibly do depositions.
Yep.
You know, key players in
on
all
both
of this.
sides. So we get to ask for things, they get to ask for things, which is why we have asked everyone to be respectful and discreet in your written communications.
Yeah, because everything is discoverable.
Right, everything is discoverable. So, you know, many of us are people of faith, act accordingly.
Yeah.
And even if you are not, you have your medical autonomy you're trying to protect, act accordingly.
Yeah. And that process sometimes this is not a fast process.
No,
especially when you're
is.
dealing with, you know, corporation like United Airlines that has the ability to
and they have a vested interest in being able to tell employees, you have to do this, whatever it is, whether it be a vaccine mandate or wear your uniform a certain way. Although I hear now they're allowing tattoos.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
There was a conversation among some of our flight attendants about tattoos now and allowing individuality and so on and so forth. We just hope that they'll treat those of people of faith and those with medical conditions the same way.
Yeah, with that same respect.
Same openness and respect.
Yeah. Class certification, possibly best case scenario on a time frame.
Well, class certification, we're talking December or January, probably January.
Okay, and then possibly discovery can begin at anywhere during that time that Judge Pittman says.
It all depends on
this
what.
is the beginning.
Yeah, United wants to do what they call class certification related discovery, which will probably, we think, my understanding is it'll be the named plaintiffs right now.
Right.
That they'll take depositions from.
Okay, named plaintiffs are the people that are actually named in the original petition or the updated.
Yeah, the rest of us are the et al.
Yeah, the rest of us are the class, the et al.
Yeah, the potential class.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working toward right now, and that process is literally just beginning. So we will continue to have updates. We'll continue to share court documents, and let everybody can read them. And if you have questions, feel free to ask.
I know that because many of us work in different work areas, you know, my direct knowledge of, you know, what's happening and continuing discrimination towards people, you know, in our situation is limited mainly to, you know, what I experience on the ramp or the stories that I hear from, you know, below the wing people. Can you speak to some of the other types of discrimination that continues to go on?
Yeah. So one of the big things that's going on right now, and it's primarily pilots and flight attendants, but also mechanics and any other employee group that might travel on company business, is what we call the restricted destinations. United has approximately, it varies just a little bit, it has changed some, 30 destinations that they are prohibiting unvaccinated employees from flying to. All but 7 of those locations, an unvaccinated employee could non-rev to.
But that's different.
But that's different. The company has we don't know what their reasoning is, to be honest, why they are restricting those other 23 destinations.
Okay.
But what's happening right now, flight attendants, we know for a fact, if they are too junior to avoid the restricted destinations in their monthly bidding, and they get a line that has a destination in it, say a Canada turn or a layover, or Panama's one, some of the Caribbean islands, South America, Japan, China. Well, Japan and China, Japan you can actually go with just a test. You don't need the vaccine. China, you need the vaccine. But they are getting a missed trip, which gives them attendance points, which if they get enough attendance points, it could lead to termination.
Do they pay them for the trip?
No, you are not paid for the trip. And the same thing happens to the pilots. Now, the pilots right now, up until today, pilots have been bidding their schedules. And if they got a restricted destination in their schedule, we have a slightly different bidding system than the flight attendants do. That trip was pulled from their schedule without pay. And then you were able to find some open time to pick up and fill out your schedule.
If one of somebody in our group is experiencing that, what do they need to do?
They need to get in touch with Sherry or I, just let us know what's happening. We are talking to the attorneys about it. For mechanics and other employee groups, they are just prohibited from any travel outside the country is what we've been told so far.
Okay, so you can email Captain Laura at info@AE4HF.com, and we need to know if that's happening to you. Should they talk to a union rep if that's going on as well?
They can notify their union rep. Right now, so far, the unions really have not done anything to prohibit this. Today, a new development has occurred for the pilot group, and we are being, somebody is going in and actually, we don't know who within the company or the union is going in and modifying our bid groups.
When you say modify, is that?
So it's a PBS bidding system, which is a preferential bidding system. And you go in, you say, I want these days off, I want to work these kind of trips, I don't want to fly all-nighters, I want to go to this country, I don't want to go to that country. I don't want to fly through Newark. Whatever your criteria is, you're allowed to put those in. The company recently has stepped up and started sending us messaging saying that we have to specifically bid to avoid certain places. And last month they started some investigations, but then put everything on hold. And now all of a sudden, as of today, we found out that they're actually going in and modifying people's bid groups if they don't have an avoid statement in there. And it's complicated. It's not easy. It's not like I can avoid all these cities in one line. It's like a computer code. You have to put in each specific city in a line, and you only get 20 lines per bid group. So that could potentially, with 30 destinations, that could potentially keep you from saying, I need Saturday or Friday the 13th off because I'm scared to fly on Friday the 13th, whatever. I have a doctor's appointment. My kids, graduating college, my getting married. That would prohibit you from actually bidding off the one day out of the month you might need.
Yeah, that's infuriating.
So somebody is going in and modifying the pilots bid groups, and we're looking into it.
Right on. And the restrictions on some of these pilots and flight attendants as well. So if we were talking about this earlier, if you're a captain on a 767, how many destinations can you fly to?
Well, in Houston right now, for October bid month, they have 3 destinations.
Yeah.
Two of them are restricted destinations.
Yeah, so only one that they're allowing pilots to fly to. It makes it tough.
Yeah, it is tough, and we're trying to work around it. We're doing our best. We understand to some extent the, dropping the trip without pay, but this just flat out going in and changing our bidding. We can't trade into them, but the monthly preferencing is a little different.
Right.
So
Max Q asked a follow-up question. I thought that attaining the PI preliminary injunction, which I guess he's referring to, the temporary restraining order, the TRO, even at this late day would get us, I don't understand, stars quo, maybe status quo, and back pay. If Judge Pittman was to rule
that would not get, but preliminary injunction would not get us back pay. It would not change anything about what has happened so far. It merely starts, if he granted it today, it starts from today forward.
Right. Anything that's happened prior would happen.
That has to go through a trial.
Or some type of mediated settlement if that was to be the case.
Correct.
If that was to the case. Anything else you want to add, or can we look and open it up for a couple of possible questions?
The contributions, I just want to talk about that. The contributions to the legal fund. We're doing very well right now. Everybody's been very generous this summer. We haven't had a whole lot of legal bills this summer. They've been very, very low as we were waiting for the 5th to rule. Just dealing with some minor things that cropped up now and then, a phone call here or there. However, with all of these filings, the legal bills are going to start going up again. So we appreciate your contributions to the legal fund. We are keeping track of those contributions. Some of you, we have accounts on SIBI for the litigants that are contributing. And if you have any questions, you can email me at info on that, or you can send the date, check number, and the amount to contributions@AE4HF.org. And we can look into it and make sure that it was received. But we're going to all have to keep pitching in, and it's a lot easier now that we're back at work. If you can, there's almost 2,000 of us, and it doesn't take much monthly to make it a significant contribution. If you're on SIBI and you have a SIBI account number, please include that with your check or Venmo or Give, Send, Go contribution. It makes it easier for us to account for it.
Yeah, and again, I'll say this because I think it's important that according to the Constitution and bylaws of the 501c4, all of these contributions are going to legal fees.
All contributions go to legal fees except for banking fees.
Okay.
Okay. We do have.
I think we all understand that.
Yeah. I mean, the bank, when I wire money to the attorneys, that's $25. And then there's just some basic account fees that the bank charges.
Yeah, but
so that's it. That's the only thing.
But our officers, board members, nobody's getting compensated.
No,
or reimbursed for anything.
No, that's paper printing, your time here at the studio, your folks supporting us here at the studio today. Yeah, we're not getting compensated for that.
Yeah, and we're all okay with that.
Yeah, it's fine.
I want you to know that your money, when you give, it's going to.
It only goes to the lawyers, and we should have. I believe we'll have a tax filing soon here. We have one coming up that we have to do, our first one.
Good.
So we're working on getting all that together But yeah, every dime we've gotten except for the bank fees and the fees that Give, Send, Go or Venmo take are going straight to the attorneys.
Okay.
So
that's good. So budgeted in, give. If you have any specific questions, if you want to type it in the comments on Facebook or on YouTube, we'll do our best to take a few here over the next couple of minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. I see that Sherry's commenting. Captain Walker, she was trying to make it in today and was dealing with some of this stuff that we're dealing with.
It was one of her bids were being affected, so she was dealing with that, trying to get that rectified.
I saw her comment on YouTube. For those of you that are watching on Facebook, she said she's on the front line of the discrimination of what we're talking about today, dealing with some of that. So
yeah. So and that's the thing that they haven't changed my bids, but they're changing Sherry's. It's very sporadic. It's very kind of all over the place. So we don't really know what's going on.
No rhyme or reason.
But it is part of the continuing harm. And it's the same for the flight attendants who are trying to bid around the restricted destinations and are getting missed trips because they're unable to trade or drop the trip because of United has, for both pilots and flight attendants, such restricted ability to trade or drop. It's complicated, but they say, oh, we don't have coverage, so you're not able to drop something or trade out of it. It just makes it more difficult. Or maybe it's not a desirable trip and people don't want it. You know, other people don't want to fly that, or they have conflicts in their schedule. It's a complicated thing, and we're trying to address it. There's not much we can do about it legally right now, but we are trying to address it.
Just document it and wait.
Document
wait
everything. Document everything.
Okay. Mario asked, can you confirm the contribution address? And then Theron Johnson wrote, is that the right address?
I can't read it.
AE4HF, it's 6606.
Yeah.
FM 1488. Suite, it's STE.148-139.
No, I'd have to.
Magnolia, Texas. Noemi, can you copy that and make sure that it's on the comments on Facebook and on YouTube?
It is on our website.
On the website.
AE4HF.com. If you do the contributions link, there are links to Venmo, Give, Send, Go, and the address to send checks, and that is the correct address there.
So that's going to be there. We're also going to type that in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. And can we we'll put a direct link to AE4HF.com.
Yeah.
As well. So you can
click
those.
.org. AE4HF.org.
AE4HF.org.
Before Sherry has a cow.
Right.
So it's all there. The information is there.
Sherry says jabsforjobs.com.
That's the other one, jabsforjobs.com or AE4HF.org. Both work. Or is it jabsforjobs.org, Sherry? Now she's got me confused.
Right. She says com. No,
okay.
she just said oops. Jabsforjobs.org.
Yeah, so they're both .org, AE4HF.org and jabsforjobs. It's jabs, the number 4, jobs.org.
Okay. Sandra asks, if we were to quit or retire before the settlement ends, will we still be part of the suit?
We believe so. Up to the point that you quit or retire, you have been harmed.
Yeah.
That's our position at this point in time, and we will fight to get you included in the class.
And I know quite a few people that retired and tapped out and said, I just don't want to deal with this, or took...
Some people took the PVSLs, the early retirements that were offered. The one area that's kind of gray that we can't guarantee is if you did not file a reasonable accommodation with the company. If you did not request a reasonable accommodation with the company, that gets to be kind of a gray area as to whether or not you would be included, since our lawsuit is not about the mandate per se, it's about the reasonable accommodation process and how United handled it.
Right.
The artificial deadlines, the questions, the requirement of a third-party letter, or a pastor's letter in the beginning. They did finally drop that pretty quickly, but those are the issues that we're addressing in our lawsuit, so that we can ensure that Title VII is upheld under the law.
Yeah.
It's meant to keep us in the workplace, which is why we filed the preliminary injunction. At the time we filed the lawsuit, everyone that had requested a reasonable accommodation was going to be put on unpaid leave for an indeterminate amount of time. Now, after we filed the lawsuit, the company did allow about half of our group to continue working, the rampers, mechanics, most of the gate agents, I believe, they put into other jobs, the agent on demand and other jobs, some work from home type scenarios, most, not all. But yeah, that's what the lawsuit's about. It's about reasonable accommodation under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Americans with Disabilities Act for those that have a medical.
And we want to hold their feet to the fire. Chokahas, can you go scroll back up just 2 comments for me, Noemi? Thank you. The right to sue letter, or when we see people that are getting that, are they receiving that by mail or by email? No one has,
they will send it to you in the mail. They will also have it on your portal. If you see something that says right to sue letter on your portal, just don't open it right now. Wait for it to come in the mail. Notify us immediately. They will send you a copy in the mail, is our understanding.
Yeah, Sherry Walker, Captain Sherry Walker says if you quit or retire because of this, you are harmed. Document everything.
Mm-hmm. Just let us know. Let us know what your story is. When you email at info@AE4HF or send Sherry or I a text, please include your full name and what your position with the company is so that starting with some understanding. Unfortunately, I wish I could know all 2,000 of our members and the people reaching out to me, but your email address doesn't always give me a clue as to who you are, so please be sure and sign it.
Okay, I'm looking through here. Somebody asked, how much should each person give? And it's different levels for different people.
Everybody's in a different situation. We understand that. We have people that are still, because of the unpaid leave and falling behind on their bills, that are losing their homes, okay? If you were able to send $100 a month, if you can budget that, or $50 a month, that would be great. If you are blessed and can send more, it's all going to the legal fund. It's all going to be accounted for. If at some point we get legal fees, some or all reimbursed, we will be able to return some or all of that money back to you.
That's an
but
if.
We can't it's a big if. We can't guarantee it, but that's why we're keeping track of it.
Yeah. So I'd say give what you can.
Give what you can.
At whatever level you're at.
We have some people that are more blessed than others, and we understand that. And so if you can give a little more to make up for somebody that's struggling right now, we appreciate that, and so do they.
Okay, Mario, we addressed this one a little bit earlier. If there's something that you're not seeing that's showing in your CIBI portal on your donations, you can email
contributions@ae4hf.org. Contributions, plural.
And then if you have, I would think they would probably ask for some type of record that you gave that, and we'll try to reconcile it.
We need the date. If it was a check, Venmo, or Give, Send, Go, the amount, and the method, whether it was check, Venmo or Give, Send, Go, so that we can determine it. If a friend contributed for you, you need the friend's name and all that other data. We're not going to say, if you say, hey, so-and-so said they sent a check in my name, can you find that and attribute it to my account? No. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. You need to give us, the name, or if the person puts your CIBI account number on the check, that makes it easier for us to apply it to you. If you go by a different name, say your formal name is...
well, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm David Hogan on CIBI, but my first name is actually Lemuel.
Lemuel David Hogan.
Yeah.
So if I get a check that says Lemuel Hogan, we don't know 100% for sure that belongs to David. So if your CIBI number's on there, we know to attribute it to that account.
Yeah, so just email, and you should get a response pretty quick. We posted that in the comments for you, Mario. Sherry says that she's going to have the August contributions, I guess is what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So if it's been in the last month, it may not be up there yet.
Yeah, Sherry's been, we run about a month behind. So if we received your contribution in July, then that'll be updated in August. August contributions get updated in September. Now, if you may have mailed the contribution in August, but I go to the P.O. box about once a week. And so if it wasn't there the last week of August, if it didn't get there, then it'll be in the September. So don't panic, okay? Whatever you do, don't panic about it. One email will be fine. Sherry goes through those emails once or twice a month to get caught up on them. There's not that many. Everything's usually pretty correct. I'm going to the post office box once a week and depositing. And we have one of our other members that takes the accounting from Give, Send, Go and Venmo. And then we put it all up into a spreadsheet, and it gets uploaded into the CIBI portal.
Okay. Romeo asks, is this part of Title VII or Title IV? I believe the main...
Title VII.
Title VII is the main legal argument that we are arguing.
For those who requested a religious accommodation based on their faith from United's vaccine mandate, that falls under Title VII. For those who requested a medical accommodation, that falls under the Americans with Disabilities Act.
All right. Sandra asks, can you tell us approximately how many flight attendants are still involved? And I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I do, but we're not going to give out numbers right now.
Okay.
We have approximately 2,000 members.
A bunch.
Yes.
Leave it at that. What is the current situation for ramp service leads terminated after 32 years? John, it would all depend on that situation. Did you fill out a RAP, all of those things? We have one of our members that's handling, taking down the information from the terminated employees. Has he been in contact with that? Yeah, I don't know that. John, we need to know if you were terminated after 32 years, you need to be in contact. Who would they need to contact?
Lucinda. Well, contact me, and I'll forward you to Lucinda.
Send an email to info@AE4HF.com, and that'll go to Captain Cox,
That's
and
me.
she will forward that to Lucinda, who will help you find out what your specific status would be.
We just need to know what happened and how and where you are, what's going on, so that we can make sure that you're included.
Yeah, but we are definitely interested in making sure you're part of this. Matt says, when I started this process, I was a gate agent, transferred to ramp, and now stores. That way I would be non-customer contact. Does that matter?
No, at this point, go ahead for your CIBI profile, put the position you were in at the time that you were harmed.
Yeah, I've got another friend that watches our broadcast, actually ended up joining our school of ministry. His YouTube handle is Text
And
Learning.
that may be one of the other questions that we add to the CIBI profile later. So everybody write down your login information and your password for CIBI. And that's the forum, cibionis.com. If you've forgotten it, you need to email admin@cibionis, SIBIONUS.com, and only he can reset your password, your login information. And he's a pilot too, and he works a schedule and has a family. So he's getting to those as quickly as possible because we've generated a lot of that. Everybody's trying to get in and fix their profiles. But it's really important that if you're going to be part of this lawsuit, that we have that information. Periodically, we may send an email out. Hey, we got a couple of new questions. Everybody go in there and answer them.
Yeah, and that's admin@cibionus, SIBIONUS.com. That's if you have CIBI questions. Mario, make sure that you've got its contributions@AE4HF.org. Make sure that you're sending that to the right email address.
Yeah, we've got a couple of different systems going here. Everybody try to remember, this is something Sherry and I and David, managing everybody in a lawsuit, it came fast and furious at all of us.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of cobbled a few systems together. Almost everything is manual. So we're doing everything manually, answering the emails, the contribution updates, the legal updates, getting the documents uploaded into SIBI. Everything's manual. And now that we're back at work, we don't have as much free time as we used to. We're working. We have families. Sherry's been swamped getting her son moved to school in Florida, selling her house, getting it ready. They're downsizing now that your son is out of the house. So it's just crazy. I was moving my son back home from college. It's just been a crazy time with all of us getting back to work. So
I have one visiting a college without me.
Yeah,
as
there
we
you go.
speak.
Yeah. So we're all dealing with our family issues just like you are, and we're doing our very level best to answer this. So send us an email. Give us a few days. If for some reason you don't think that it may have gone through or it's urgent, please get in touch with us again.
Yeah. Terry asked, David, did you say that you are in stores now? No, I'm still on ramp. I was reading one of the questions, exactly how it was written, so it may have sounded like I was saying it was me, but that was one of the comments. I'm still ramp. TOB runner here at IH. Andy asked, can you comment on how the fired pilots suing ALPA can affect us while we are going through this with the company?
Well, they're suing ALPA, which is a separate scenario, and they're suing over their terminations and ALPA's handling of that. I don't see that it's kind of a parallel lawsuit, and at this point in time, we don't really see it affecting us.
Sam asks, wasn't there a group that started to help military being discharged for the denied religious exemptions? Yes, there was a group, and I think they have a lawsuit, but separate from us.
Yeah, that's all separate from us. If you need information on that, go ahead and reach me again at the info email address, and I will connect you with I'll ask Danielle where to best reach out to that.
Okay. Mario, Sherry commented to you, I don't know if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, but she said that you can call her. She is brave. She posted her phone number. But
we've been very vocal with our phone numbers and our contact information.
Y'all are awesome.
Mine is 936-203-7056. It's out there. Text me. Again, put your name, please.
Yeah.
Let me know who I'm talking to. And that way it helps us. And sometimes I might need a little memory refresher if it's been a while since we last spoke.
Julie asked, how long is the process after the class is certified? You just never know with these things.
Here's the deal. It's a one step at a time, and right now we're focusing on the class certification. The lawyers tell us that United may want to talk settlement at some point if we get class certification. It may not go to trial. It may. It all depends on if we can come to an adequate settlement.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this: I know the named plaintiffs right now, and Sherry and I are not talking about pennies on the dollar. We're not interested in that from United. Okay.
We've come this far.
Yeah. We've come this far. Wronged. We were harmed, all of us, in one way, shape, form, or another. Those of you that were put in other jobs, you were denied promotions, you were denied overtime opportunities. So you guys lost money as well. Those who retired under duress, they took early retirement as a result of the proposed reasonable accommodations. You're harmed because you're getting a reduced retirement than you might have otherwise. If you were put on unpaid leave, you were harmed. One of the other things, we do have a lot of employees that are coming back from COLAs and medical leaves that started before the mandate. At that time, you were not, United wasn't allowing those who were on any kind of a leave to submit a reasonable accommodation. Some of you, as you're coming back, starting to come back now, your medical situation is resolved or your COLA is ending. The company's telling you, oh no, it's too late to file for a reasonable accommodation. We do know that United has granted reasonable accommodations after August 31st, for submissions after August 31st, for people coming back to work. One of the named plaintiffs had his approved back in October, and we've had a couple other employees that have come back off of COLAs or pregnancy leave that have had their reasonable accommodations approved. Just submit it.
Submit it.
Just submit it. Don't call around and ask. If you're concerned about the process, I don't know if the Help Hub link for reasonable accommodation process is still there or active. If it's not,
it may not be specifically for this, but there's always.
Yeah, there's always a reasonable accommodation link, and you could say, I would like a reasonable accommodation. You can go ahead, fill out the thing.
Yeah.
I would like a reasonable accommodation from United's vaccine mandate.
But you have to submit it. If you don't submit it,
right,
there's nothing.
And they are going, if you just call your supervisor or you call absence management or EAP, they're going to tell you, well, the deadline was August 31st.
Yeah. But submitting it in writing on their system.
You must notify United that you want this. You can notify your direct supervisor. You can send copy in HR.
But that's the only thing that forces
But you've got to start the process.
Yeah. So I've had lots of calls from people in that situation that are coming back not knowing what to do.
So up until you return from your COLA and your reasonable accommodation is either denied for whatever reason, or you're affected by these restricted destinations or lost opportunities for overtime or promotions and such as a result of your having a reasonable accommodation, you haven't been harmed until something actually happens to you. So I know many of you have not filed an EEOC claim yet. But again, you haven't been harmed. So once you are harmed, then we can give you the information on how to start the process with the EEOC.
Shara asks, good question. We were talking about this earlier before we started. If a new vaccine comes out that does not include stem cells that were tested on fetuses, many of you that was part of your religious accommodation, she asked, if there's a new one that comes out, and there is now one that has come out that allegedly is not,
there's
will
some
we be
controversy
forced to take that, or will the wraps still apply?
That's a good question.
United actually addresses that in this briefing. I encourage you to read that.
They bring up the Novavax vaccine, which the FDA just gave emergency use approval to. It is not an approved, fully FDA-approved vaccine at this point in time. It's still emergency use only.
Yeah.
That's been part of our contention as well.
Houston Methodist, and this doesn't apply to us because we don't work for Houston Methodist, but they've asked for another supplemental information for the religious people.
It all depends on what your personal belief is.
Yeah.
If stem cells is your only objection, if you have deeper objections, if you believe that God made your body whole, if you have other medical constraints, the Novavax vaccine does contain PEG, I believe. I was reading recently, polyethylene glycol, which is known to cause anaphylactic shock and allergies and autoimmune issues. If you are allergic to that, that would be a reason to avoid it in a medical situation. It's all going to depend on your personal situation.
And Judge Pittman was in his brief was pretty specific about how that personally held religious beliefs are just that.
Personally held religious beliefs are just that. The EEOC is also very specific about secular beliefs, as long as they parallel a religious belief, are allowed and permitted too. It's kind of complicated, but you don't have to belong to a specific religion, or you don't have to believe in God to have a sincerely held belief.
And you don't have to have had that same religious. Listen, we have church all of the time because we are encouraging people to make choices, to choose faith in Christ.
Which is why we believe that United's deadline last year of August 31st, 2021 was inappropriate, because what are they saying? They're saying you can't find God on September 1st?
Yeah.
Sherry said that a million times. What you mean I can't find God on September 1st?
Right. And we teach on this broadcast like every single day, whether we're talking about this or not. We're talking about being set apart, divine healing, what the Bible teaches about. I mean, it's my personally held religious belief had to do with the abortion issue as well, but
that's only part of it.
That was secondary to complete dependency on God. That's me, but to answer that question, United hasn't come.
They have not told us that we had to get it.
Yeah.
They haven't said it's approved. The last time I looked, about a week ago, on the FAA Aeromedical website, Novavax is not a listed vaccine. Not to say that it can't change, but for pilots, Novavax is not an approved vaccine.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated issue. The company has not started pushing it. They've just brought it up in the legal document that it may be an alternative for some. And I can remember people writing me and saying, well, you know, if they get this Novavax one, I'll take that. Okay, fine, that's great. That doesn't mean you weren't harmed leading up to that point, okay? Because you have been. You've been harmed and denied for not taking the other vaccines.
Right.
If your personal belief system or your medical situation is such that you can take the Novavax vaccine, and that is your choice, it is, but it doesn't mean that all the other harm didn't occur.
That's it. Linda's asking, please state August of what year? I don't know what she's referring
August 31st of 2021 was the deadline by United to file your reasonable accommodation. They have accepted some reasonable accommodation requests after that date. But you have to ask for it.
Yeah. Jamie says, I'm in flight, my husband's ramp. I was effectively terminated for some time. He was not, but his pain was no less than mine. He had to fight the fight head on and in his face while I was home waiting.
We understand, we understand the discrimination that the employee groups that were working suffered. Was it different than those put on unpaid leave? Yes, but it is no less than what those on unpaid leave suffered. Discrimination is discrimination. And in a company that is supposed to be fighting discrimination, I find it hard. I just am appalled that we're even in this situation.
Yeah. Terry says, I don't believe that it doesn't, speaking of the Novavax, I don't believe that it doesn't have the cell lines in it. I don't either, personally. United says the Novavax
They use
vaccine.
moth. They grow it or whatever. They use moth cells instead of human DNA. However, there is a Liberty Counsel article out there floating around that cites some of Novavax's scientific research, which discusses the fact that I believe they did some testing with the aborted fetus cells, the HEK, I don't know the number, the HEK line.
Yeah, in the briefing on page 5, United states that Novavax was designed specifically to address certain religious objections as the company represents. And then they quote a Newsweek article. I mean, since when do I believe anything that Newsweek writes anyway?
Right, yeah.
Here, believe the mainstream media.
Yeah, do we have, at least some scientific integrity here?
Yeah. Hard pass.
Again, it all goes back to what your personal religious belief is about these vaccines for this disease, other vaccines, other medical procedures. It goes back to what your personal medical situation is if you're on a medical wrap. How will this vaccine affect you? Yeah. It's, this whole business of being told you have to get it to stay employed. I think the world has moved forward a little bit on this subject, and that it's very discriminatory to be told that you can't work, you can't go to school, you cannot be part of society unless you submit to this medical procedure. I thought we solved that in at the end of World War II with the Nuremberg trials and the Nuremberg Code, which is also part of the Helsinki, what do they call, declarations. And there's one other, Helsinki Declarations, the Nuremberg Code. They're all very similar. They've all been adopted by the World Health Organization, the topic of informed consent. And even the World Health Organization said not to discriminate, not to segregate.
Yet here we are.
Yet here we are. But this all boils down to reasonable accommodation, whether it be religious or medical, is up to the individual.
Amen.
Okay? That's your personal belief.
I agree.
Or your personal situation.
Captain Sherry Walker says, United flies airplanes, not medical research.
That's right.
Let's stick to working on being the best airline instead of trying to do medical research too.
That's right. Let's take care of our people, both our internal customers, each other, and our passengers. Let's just take care of them and do the best job we can, and the company will be successful, and we don't have to have marketing gimmicks.
Yeah.
That even Judge Pittman recognized were pretextual.
Yeah. Thank God that he saw that
as
well. Anything else you want to add today?
No, I think I've pretty much covered my list of items here. And again, always, Sherry and I are available. The email address, info@AE4HF, is always .com, is always a good place to start. I get those emails. I know I'm going to be flooded now, but I will answer them. I answer each and every one. And or I forward it to the person who needs to take care of that situation. So
that's it. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of the broadcast today. And I know it's helpful to everybody. We had over 200 people watching live. Captain Sherry just in the comments burning it up. Thank you for helping from where you could today. And we missed you on the broadcast, but we'll get her back in next time too.
Awesome.
So I'll close with this. We always close our broadcasts with prayer. I'm going to pray for you. I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but I believe that God knows exactly what we're going through, where we're at, and we're going to talk to him. I'll encourage you, even when we don't always agree with everything that the company may be doing. I've always said this from the beginning. Work hard. Take care of the customers, like you were saying. If you're on the ramp, make your bags. Do it with pride. If you're in flight, do your job to the best of your ability. Let's be the best 2,000 employees that they have.
Right. And I've kind of adopted God leads the way.
Yeah. All right. Let's close in prayer, and we'll get out of here. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this wonderful group of people. We pray you'd give wisdom, direction to each one that's watching today. I pray your peace would be upon them in their specific situations. Lord, you know what's going on. We may not know every detail, but you know. We pray you'd give peace to these wonderful people today. We pray for wisdom for our lawyers and in a quick and fair, just resolution to this conflict. And we thank you for that in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. We'll see you next time. We do this every single day at 10 a.m.-ish here on Worldwide Impact. But next time we have an update with AE4HF, we'll make sure and let you know what's going on as well. So check us out. Make sure you're keeping in touch with SIBI, following through with your EEOC, and we'll see you next time here on Worldwide Impact.